All right, today we are talking about the simple past tense. We'll talk about when to use simple past. Really, it's just about anything that happened in the past. Completed actions. They are completed today, this morning, completed yesterday, completed 5,000 years ago. It doesn't matter. We can use this simple past tense. When we're creating verbs in simple past or sentences in simple past, we'll want to remember that there are a couple ways to do that. When we use our be verb, be is am, is, and are. In the past tense, it takes the form of was or were. I was, she was, he was, they were, you were, we were. Right? Do you remember that? And our non-be verbs, all of our other verbs, are actually going to fall into two different categories, regular and irregular. Those regular verbs will follow this pattern of verb and ed, and adding ed to the word. Irregular verbs do not have a pattern, and they do not add ed, and there's a lot of them, and you have to memorize them. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But these are our regular verbs, adding ed. Let's talk about our be verb for a minute, and then we'll talk about our regular simple past. We use was or were, and then we add not to make the negative sentence. They were friends. They weren't friends. To make the question, we use was or were at the beginning of the question, followed by the subject. I think this is a typo here. To make the question, we'll say, were they friends? With our regular simple past verbs, we add the ed ending for our positive or affirmative sentences. She worked yesterday. In the negative, we'll add that helping verb did and not for the negative sentence. We change did from do. Did is the past form of the verb. And we'll keep that verb in the base form with no ed. Because we show that this is past, we can keep the verb in the base form. She didn't work yesterday. And our question form with our regular verb will also use did, subject, and verb in the base form. Did she work yesterday? Any questions about this slide?
In to be form question sentence, or how we can form question sentence?
How can you form the question?
Yeah, with to be form.
With the be verb, right?
Yes.
We'll use was or were plus the subject.
Were they friends? Were they friends? Is it okay?
What's the question?
Question statement, can I make the question for these sentences like they were friends? Were they friends?
Yes. Yes. They were friends is the sentence. Were they friends is the question.
Thank you.
Teacher, did it's for all pronouns?
For all the pronouns, yes, we'll follow did.
Okay.
I did not, she did not, they did not. With this simple past tense, these non-be verbs are pretty simple because we don't have to change it based on the subject. They'll always have only one form. Okay, let's look at some examples of spelling these regular verbs. I'll put this in the chat in case you want to pull it up, but we're just going to look at it together as a group. There's some spelling rules for creating those regular past tense verbs. For the most part, they follow the spelling rules that we've looked at for other verb tenses and other ways of changing the spelling of words. For our regular past tense, the form is usually to add verb plus ed. The verb ends in e. We only have to add d, not ed. Liked, liked. Arrive, arrived. Decide, decided. If the verb ends in consonant y, we change the y to I and add ed. Carry, carried. Try, tried. Study, studied. If the word ends in vowel y, we just add ed. Play, played. Stay, stayed. Enjoy, enjoyed. There are some irregular, see this little star here? There are some irregular verbs that end in vowel y that do not follow this pattern, but most vowel y verbs will follow this pattern. When a verb ends in a consonant vowel consonant, we double the final consonant and add ed. So H-U-G, consonant vowel consonant, we double the G, ed. Hug, hugged. Plan, planned. Stop, stopped. And other verbs, we'll just add ed. Let's do a couple for practice here. Actually, we'll do a couple for practice and then we can do a short breakout room to practice them. All right, let's look at some of these words together. Number one, we have cry, ends
Cry.
with consonant Y.
C-R-I-E-D.
So we change the Y to I and add ED. Decide. ends with E,
Decided.
we just add D, right? Walk ends with a K.
Easy.
Okay.
This is a regular one, pretty simple. Sob,
Double
consonant,
B.
vowel, consonant,
Sobbed.
double B, sobbed. Enjoyed has a vowel Y,
Enjoyed.
Enjoyed. Easy.
add ED. And how about wash? Ends with H.
Wash.
ED.
Easy.
Okay, you guys got this. Great job. Any questions about these spelling rules?
Why enjoy just easy, not IED?
Right, great question. Does anybody know why does enjoyed have ED?
Vowel.
Vowel.
Because it has the
Vowel.
vowel, the
Yes.
vowel Y.
Third rule
Or
applied.
vowel. Because what?
Because third rule applied here. Vowel plus Y is equal to just ED.
Yeah, vowel plus Y, we just add ED. Our vowels are A, E, O, A, E, I, O, U. A, E, O, A, E, I, O, U. And then it ends with a vowel and Y. We just add ED. Would you like to practice this in breakout rooms, or do you feel okay about these spelling rules?
Okay.
Vanessa, would you like to show the exceptions?
This
Yes,
part here?
this one.
Okay.
Some exceptions. Paid.
We'll talk about those exceptions in just a minute.
Okay.
Okay. These pages are all included in your handouts for today. And so if you'd like some practice with spelling, there's a lot of spelling practice in the homework with these ED endings. Let's talk about the pronunciation of these regular ED endings.
Vanessa, excuse
Yes.
me.
Yes.
For the next page exercise,
Mm-hmm.
what is the past of free?
Which number?
I think is last number. Yes, 10.
Free. What do you
D.
think?
Free.
Just add D.
Freed.
Just
freed.
Yep. Just add D, freed. Because it ends with a vowel or ends with an E. Even though there's two vowels, it ends with E, so it gets D.
Okay.
It looks a little weird, doesn't it?
Mm.
All right. Come back to this page. Let's talk about the pronunciation of ED endings. You've probably talked about this before with other English teachers. You've probably studied this before. But let's practice and just refresh our memories about these different sounds. When we learned in session 1 in our sounds and syllables class that some letters have more than one sound, right? And the letter D is one example of that. That consonant letter D, we normally think of as the D, D, D sound. And if you say it with me here, D, 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 you can feel in your throat, D, D, D. some vibration happening. But the letter D with this ED ending can also have the T sound. Sounds like the letter T. T, T, T. Can you say the sound T, T, T? When you say T, you don't feel anything in your throat. T, D, T, D. Hong, I can hear you. Do you feel the difference in your throat?
Yes.
Yeah. We also learned that in our sounds and syllables class that an extra vowel means there is an extra syllable. And we'll talk about that in just a minute, but just to remind you. So let's listen to these words with the ED ending. And as you're listening, you can repeat after me and put your hand on your neck so you can feel and listen and feel the end of the word. Talked,
Talk,
walked,
walk,
washed,
washed,
kissed,
kissed,
cooked.
cooked.
If you are repeating after me and feeling your throat, you don't feel anything at the end of that word. And you hear the T sound. Kt, kt, st, st, kt. That T ending. When the word ends in those voiceless sounds like k, 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 or sh, 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 when the word ends with that voiceless sound, the ED ending has the voiceless sound too. Let's compare with the D sound, that voiced sound. We repeat and listen to these words, you'll feel a difference in your neck, in your throat. Lived,
Lived,
moved,
moved,
arrived,
arrived,
cried,
cried,
tried.
tried.
Do you feel it in your neck? Vd, vd, I'd, I'd.
I'd.
This letter V and the sound Y, these are voiced sounds. We feel the vibration in our neck. And so they have the D ending, that D voiced sound. Kt, vd, kt, vd. A lot of times when we see this ED, we know that that extra syllable usually happens when there is a vowel sound or vowel letter. But with this ED ending, we don't add an extra syllable. Live, lived. Talk, talked. There's no extra syllable there. It just blends right into the next sound. Talked. Oops, what did I just tell you? It's a T sound. Talked,
Walked,
walked,
what,
washed,
kissed,
lived, moved, arrived.
arrived, arrived, tried.
but this one's a little bit different. When the verb ends with T or D, we do add an extra syllable to those verbs. Rest, rested.
Rested.
Want, wanted.
Wanted.
Hate,
Heat.
hated.
Heated.
End, ended.
Ended.
Invite, invited.
Invited.
Those verbs ending with T or D will add an extra syllable. Okay. Any questions? Okay. We're going to do a little bit of practice with these endings. I'm going to put this link in the chat for you. We'll go into our breakout rooms and practice the pronunciation of these sounds. In the breakout room, let me show you what this looks like. Here, there's a list of words with those ED endings. You can practice reading the word and deciding what is that final sound, D, T, or id. There's a little bit of a hint at the bottom of the page. The regular verb endings in a vowel sound or a voiced consonant sound, B, G, L, M, N, V, Y, and Z. Those will all have, those voiced consonants will all have the same ending. Regular verbs ending with an unvoiced or voiceless sound, K, F, P, S, H, C, H, and X, will also all have the same sound or same ending. So what you'll do is read these words together and decide which is the final ending sound that it has. Any questions about this page?
It's okay.
Okay. If you have any problems in the breakout room, please send me a message. I can come over and help. Okay.
Let's do this. Start from here. Allowed.
Allowed. D.
I think so too. Okay, next. Asked.
T.
Okay, correct.
But this file cannot edit, so just see. I don't know why. Just a second.
How can I help you?
No, I can share my screen, but this, oh, sorry. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually I can edit by my pen, but this screen cannot. I don't know. I don't know why, but we can see my screen.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you use, maybe I have it disabled, annotations on the screen? I don't think so.
Mhm.
That's okay. You can just chat about it together.
Okay.
Yeah.
The first one, allow,
Mhm.
D.
D.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. Allowed. And asked. Next is asked. I think T sound.
D sound, yes. Lilia,
Great
great.
is
Great.
D. Great.
Correct.
Crack.
Cracked.
Cracked.
Cracked. It's T sound. Cracked.
Yeah.
T. Yep.
Cried, D sound.
Cried.
Cried.
ID. ED. Cried.
Cried with D.
D sound.
D. Okay. Next.
Damage.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, it's your turn. I told you.
Thank you. Damaged. Damaged.
No, try again.
Okay. Ubicab, yeah, Ubicab pamoja biso ya Congo.
If Lisette's computer is not working or phone, I can share with my screen with you all.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, listen, it was your turn to read the word damaged.
Okay, damage, I think is first column.
Yeah.
Damaged.
One. Yeah.
Within
Decided column 3.
decided.
Good.
Encouraged. It's third one. Encouraged. Encouraged. Third one.
Column 1. Yeah.
Hold on, I'm following. Keep going.
Listen, it's your turn. Ended.
Ended is the last column, third column.
Ended. Good.
Ended.
Flooded.
Flooded.
Yeah.
Flooded. 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 Third. Flooded. Third form. Third column.
Third column. Yeah. Included. Third column.
Guessed you left. Okay. Jailed. Jailed. First column.
Yeah.
Jailed.
What about guest?
Guessed.
Second
Oh,
column.
yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
T second column. Guessed.
Good.
Yeah.
Killed. It's first column.
Column 1. Yeah. Landed.
Landed.
Column
Land-
3.
Landed.
Landed. Yes,
Third
third
column.
column. Okay, listen.
Loved, first column.
Missed. 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 Second column. Missed.
Second column. Yeah. Missed. First column.
Mixed.
I
Mixed.
think in second column, mixed.
Mixed. Good.
Missed.
Mixed.
Past, Pasted.
Pasted. It's pasted.
Column 3. Pasted.
Pasted. Relaxed. First one.
Relaxed. Relaxed.
Relaxed.
No, second
Relaxed.
column.
Second column.
Relaxed. Is it second column? Okay.
That X is a voiceless sound. If you if you hold your
Relax.
fingers to your neck, you don't feel anything. So we make
Actually,
it-
I have confusion within D and T actually.
they're really
some-
confusing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It always is going to come back to the pronunciation of the base word and how the base verb and the ending sound there. We're going to talk more about this. We should have talked more about this in our pronunciation class, actually, but it's always going to come back to those final sounds of the main verb.
Repeated. Repeated.
Repeated.
It's third one.
Column
Yeah.
3. Column 3. Repeated.
Shaved. Colon 1.
Column 1.
Shaved.
Slept.
Slipped.
One.
Slipped.
Um,
Two. Slipped.
column
Two. Slipped. Two.
Very
So-
good, Colin.
Stopped.
Stop.
Stopped. Stopped.
I
First
think
one.
two.
Stopped. First.
I think two.
Lisette,
Stop.
why do you think two?
Stop.
Because we are two P.
Stopped.
Mm-hmm.
Two consonant.
Both slip and stop end with the final P,
Mhm.
and that p, there's no vibration in your neck. So those are voiceless sounds. So they both take the T sound. Slipped, stopped.
Stop.
Tasted. Third one. ID. Tasted.
Tasted.
The ones ending in T and D are the easy ones. They're easy to recognize.
Yes.
Yes.
Visited.
Visited.
Read.
Visited. Visited. First one. Visited.
No.
Three
The
Third
column.
one.
The last column. Last column.
The last column. Yes, yes, you are right.
It ends in
Visited.
T. Yeah, so it gets the extra syllable.
Visit.
Wasted.
Wasted.
Wait.
Last
First
column.
column. First column. Wasted.
Wasted. The column 3.
Last column.
Wasted.
Column 3. Washed.
Washed.
Colon.
2.
Watched. Watched. 3. Watched 3 column. Third column. Watched.
It doesn't add an extra syllable. If it's column 3, if it gets an extra syllable. Washed.
Washed.
What?
Then where
what
will
is-
you put it?
Column 2.
In voiced consonant sound like K, F, P, S, H, and T, C, H, or X. The ID ending is pronounced, I think, T.
Good job. All right. All right, so I think a lot of students are curious about this topic and would probably like more practice with it. Of course, you can keep practicing on your own and check your answers on the class website. I want to introduce you to an app that I've learned about. It's called Juna or Juna Accent Coach. I'm going to show you what this looks like on my phone here. And I'll send you more information about it after our class today.
Okay.
But let me show you a little. Let me show you what it looks like. And try to share my screen from my phone. Okay. Can you see my phone here?
Yes.
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 Okay.
Yes, teacher.
All right. So we're going to use this app together in our class in session 3. We'll talk a little bit more about it in more detail on our class on Thursday. We can talk about it at Iroquois Park next week. But I just wanted to show you a little bit about what it is and what it does. So this app is an app that you can purchase in the App Store or Play Store. It's an app that helps with pronunciation and gives you lots of different practices and exercises and listening for practicing our different consonant and vowel sounds, as well as some problem sounds or sound changes that happen in English. These different reductions that English speakers make, and linking and dropped sounds. So I wanted to show you this just to give you a little introduction to it, and we'll spend a lot more time talking about it. So I'm not going to answer any questions about it today, but one thing we will practice with and that I want to show you is this ED ending practice.
It's
And it
free.
gives you, I'm sorry?
Juna is free.
It is not a free app, but I have some good news for you. I will provide the app for you to use for a few months, as we will be using it in our class. So I'm not going to give you all of the details right now, but I just want to show you so you can see it.
Okay.
Yeah. And we'll talk about how to download it, and I'll pay you and all of that. We'll talk about that later. But this app is really cool because there's my little cat. This app is really cool because it does provide lots of different practices and exercises. You can create a goal, set a goal for yourself, and take quizzes. Oh, I didn't have a goal yet, but do different practices and different exercises. Takes you through the different vowel and consonant sounds and teaches you how to make your mouth, and you can send a voice memo and all kinds of really fun and cool stuff. The thing that I really like are these ED endings, where it will help you identify the different sounds that we can make here. So listening to the sound, I don't think you can hear it, but we can press play. I can hear the sound, and I know, well, I couldn't hear the sound, so I chose the wrong one, but here's the sound, and we can choose, do we use our breath to make the sound, or do we use the vocal cords to make the sound? A little bit of a listening quiz here. And then we can practice with the pronunciation of ED in these words. Paused, paused. What do you think?
Paused.
First one.
Second one.
Last one.
ED, first one. Paused.
I think it's D.
D is D. Paused.
It's D. Paused. Z, z. That S looks like S, but it's actually the Z. How about this one? Locked.
Locked.
Second one.
B. Second part.
T.
T. Locked. Locked.
Locked.
Thanked.
T.
Thanked.
First one. Thanked.
T.
Not ED.
T.
Thanked gets the
Third
T
one. Third
ending.
one.
Yeah. Pushed.
Pushed. T.
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 Okay. So you get the idea. I think you get the idea here. there's so many different games and quizzes and even different speaking activities that you can do to practice all of these different problems that we have with pronunciation. So I wanted to show this to you. On Thursday, we will talk more about it. At Iroquois Park, we can talk more about it. And in session 3, we're going to do a little bit of it in our class every day, just a little bit, and you'll have the app to practice on your own. Okay, what do you think about this? Thumbs up, thumbs down? I don't use, thank you, thanks Ola. I don't use a lot of apps in my English teaching because there are so many and it's really difficult to find the good ones. But I learned about this one and I met the people who created this app, and they were so excited to meet you all and to give you the app to use for free. And I think you're really going to like it. So I wanted to share this one with you all. I am curious though, well, do you have any questions about using the Juna app? And we'll talk more about it in the future.
For the moment, no.
Okay. So I have another question for you. Do you use any apps for studying English?
Yeah.
What apps do you use?
Sometimes I use Duolingo.
Duolingo, yeah, that's a good one.
Yes, Quizlet.
That's a good vocabulary one, yeah.
And Burlington.
Okay. If you think of any others, you can put them in the chat. I'd like to know, what apps do you use for practicing English? Hi, Kulwant, what question do you have?
Vanessa, you have sent us link of quill.org. I think that is very useful, but that is very limited. Would you like to share more about that? Because it was limited. I have completed that quiz, but I want to do it more.
Okay, yeah. I think it's something that I need to add more to it. And I think we'll use it a lot more with our vocabulary,
yes,
with our
what you have added we can use, I think, that much, so I want to do it more.
Okay.
I use dictionary too.
I love dictionary. Yes, Kavan, thank you for that. I will look into that a little bit more. I think we can use it a lot with our complex grammar class. I think it will come in handy practicing grammar on the computer. Okay, Cake app. I've never heard of that one. It's for practicing English?
Yes.
I know that.
Oh.
With video, with short video.
Okay. Cake, learn English. Okay, I'll have to try that one out. Of course, Burlington English. Okay. Well, I'm always interested in learning about new apps to use, even though I don't talk about it a lot. If there's a good one, I'm happy to recommend it to other students, but I know there's a lot of not so good ones out there too. So. All right, let's go ahead, Lisette.
Yes, my other app is my niece.
Your niece?
Yes, I talk anytime with my niece.
Oh. Good to have a conversation partner. That's probably one of the best things you can do. All right, let's talk a little bit more about the simple past. And we got to move on because we have so many more things to do. but here's the simple past, some examples of when we would use the simple past tense. To express a completed action in the past. Actually, let me have some volunteers to read for me. Somebody like to read this first section here.
To express completed action in the past, I saw a ghost last Friday.
Very good. That completed action, saw. All right, another volunteer, please.
To describe a series of completed action in the past. I finished work, walked to the beach, and found a nice place to swim.
Very good. This series of completed actions, I finished, I walked, I found. Very good. Another volunteer, please.
To express, oh, it's okay. You go ahead.
Ellie, go ahead.
Okay. To express habits in the past. When I was young, I watched a lot of television every day after school.
Very good. This is that habit from the past. It was true in the past, but it's not true of your habits today. And I'll read this one here for us. For stative verbs, remember those are those non-action verbs. Have or own, be, think, know, like, dislike, need, and wish. We will use in the simple past tense. He had a small cottage in the woods. We use the simple past with these verbs, but not the progressive with these verbs. And we'll talk more about that after our break. Okay, so talking about completed past actions, we use the simple past tense. I mentioned earlier that some verbs fall in this category of irregular. These irregular verbs have a different form for the past tense. We do not add ed to these verbs. There are hundreds of irregular verbs, and for everyone, you have to memorize that past form of the verb. You know a lot of these already, but every once in a while you see a new irregular verb and you think, what is that word? Why does that one look so different than the others? So here are just a few irregular past tense verbs. We know be, am is are. Simple past is was, were. Eat and ate is another important one. See and saw. Go and went. Do and did. I mean, all of these are important, but here are just a couple that you probably remember.
Teacher, how we pronounce past of see? Saw.
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 Okay. We're gonna do one more quick breakout room before our break to do a little bit of practice with these irregular verbs. Let me put this link in the chat for you. Okay, so let's
Lock.
You need to accept. I cannot open the link.
Oh no. Okay, thank you for letting me know.
Okay.
I thought I caught all of them, but missed one. Can you request the access, please? Is there something to click to request access? There we go. Thank you.
I don't know why. Sometimes it sometimes we don't need to do anything.
It's because oh, it's still not letting me. I have to give the permission to share. And I forgot to give the permission to share that one. So you know what? It's 10:37. Let's take our break now. I'll figure it out and then we'll come back and practice after the break.
Okay.
All right. All right. Let's take
Okay.
about a 5-minute break. 5 minutes.
அப்போ அவளுக்கு ஃபோர்த்தோட முடியுது பாப்போம். கரெக்டாக தான் கண்டுபிடிச்சிட்டேன்.
Let's still open that link.
I'm still working on it.
Okay.
I'll take me a minute to do it. So I'll do it over the break and then we'll talk about it together. Okay, if you can hear me, come on back to your screen. Come on back to your computer. We will continue with our class. There is a new link in the chat. I think this one should open for you. Please let me know if it doesn't.
Yes, that's a work.
Okay.
Yes, that
Good.
works.
Okay, great. I don't know what was different, but I guess it doesn't matter. So what I'd like to do is put you back into your breakout rooms. Because of time, we're going to only look at page 2, which is the review of irregular verbs. In this exercise, you're going to work together with your group to read the sentence and think about the best verb to finish the sentence. There's a list over here, but it's a long list, so it might not be very helpful. And you'll want to choose the irregular past form of this verb. So you might have to think through your vocabulary and what words you already know in the simple past and irregular past forms. I'll put another link in the chat that has some help with identifying the irregular form of past tense verbs. There's a lot of them, which is kind of the problem, but I'll share a small list with you to help with this page here. So we'll take about 5 minutes, which I know is not a lot of time, but about 5 minutes to work on these sentences with your group. And then the rest of it you can finish with for homework. All right. Any questions about this before we go into our breakout rooms? Okay.
Is that page 12?
Yes, it's page 12.
Okay,
and we'll focus on exercise A. Okay. And you won't finish it, but do as much of it as you can.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, you and Deba, let's see. Who was in your group before?
With Walla and Lydia.
Okay. I'll move you back to that group.
Second page. No. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Is the correct verb?
Are you guys okay in this room or do you need the link?
Yes, we need the link again.
Okay. That should work for you.
Yes.
Hi, Kasumi. Whose group were you in?
I think I have 2 of them right now. My name
Okay.
is
Oh, you're with Hong.
I think I made a mistake to delete the meeting crap.
Oh.
So I'm back. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Let's see, I'll move you into Hong's group.
Okay, whatever is it in our screen, we can share that. I have first sentence. I visited my friend in the hospital. Is it the first part?
Full one?
Listen. Yes, I visited.
Okay. Do you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Who has written the visited word? Who has written the visited word here?
What? I don't hear you.
Okay then. Okay. The boys played football in the field behind the school.
Play.
Okay, Vivin, third.
Robert.
Like this?
Yes.
Okay.
Robert. Okay, Robert. Robert helped his wife wash the dishes.
Yes.
Okay.
We painted our living room a soft blue color.
Wait.
Please.
You say waiting, my friend.
I waited. Yes.
This one is a simple past tense.
Letter to my friend at home. The past simple of ring is run.
He gave, oh, he brought flower to his girlfriend for her birthday. And then number 6, who want to read?
Why? What is the past tense? Why?
I think flight. So 1 minute, 1 second.
Why?
I put another link in the chat that has a short list of irregular verbs and the form for the irregular past.
Okay.
Shut.
Number 3, I blank the alarm clock for 7 yesterday morning. I set, but I get up a half hour. Agree or not?
Could you say that again?
3, I set and get.
Set. Set around. Yes. Set. I set the alarm clock for 7 yesterday morning, but I got up. It's still good.
Number 4.
Number 4, a letter to my friend back home. Back Oh.
I give, past gave.
I gave.
I gave a letter to my friend back home.
Oh.
Number 4, I think I wrote a letter
I
to
wrote.
my friend back home. I think wrote and
Exact.
Wrote.
Right,
Yeah.
wrote. Exact.
number 4.
Number 4,
5.
I think both gave or wrote are good answers. I think it is more common to write a letter, so probably wrote is the best answer for number 4.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think gave is okay too.
Number 5, he blank flowers to his girlfriend for her birthday. He
Yes.
sent. I think sent is SENT.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or I think both. The
Number
past of
5,
buy.
Yes. Yes. Me too. I think both by.
he sent flower to his girlfriend for her birthday.
Mhm.
Sent, you under no, I think this, I don't know.
Mhm.
Which one right, Miss Vanessa?
Which number? I'm sorry.
It's number 5. I choose sent.
Sent or both?
Both are correct.
Okay.
His mother took care of him when he was sick.
Perfect.
What?
His mother took care of him when he was sick.
What?
Was is be. In past become was.
He got. He get.
Was.
Was.
Yes, he was sick.
We do use the verb get there also. He got sick. So I think was or got are both okay.
The teacher blank the mathematics class and then
Teach.
Taught.
Touch.
taught.
Teach, taught.
Taught. T-A, I think T-A-U-G-H-T.
To G-H-T.
Touch. Yeah.
And then
blank the student 3 exercise to do for homework. Then give the student 3 exercise to do homework.
Yeah.
Gave.
Give. 8.
Number 8.
Yes.
Okay, welcome back. We'll give just a few seconds for the other groups to join us, and then we will move on. Okay.
Recording.
Okay, I think everyone is back with us now. So we are going to go ahead and move on. Remember that we have plenty of practice and the answers for all of this practice are on the class website. So if you have any questions, you can check your answers there. You can always ask me, send me an email, or ask during class if you have any questions as we're going through these topics together. I know we're trying to do a lot in today's class, covering 2 verb tenses. They are connected to each other because they are both past verb tenses. And what we'll talk about next is the past continuous or the past progressive, which looks very similar to the present progressive that we talked about a couple of weeks ago. So, yeah. Any questions before we move on? Okay. All right, we're going to talk about the past progressive. It's also called the past continuous. Progressive and continuous have the same meaning. One is British and one is American English. I never remember which one is which. I think continuous is the British. But anyway, we are talking about the continuous tense here. Remember that this simple past tense is for those completed actions, completed in the past. The past continuous is to talk about actions that are finished, they are completed, but they were happening for a period of time in the past. They were ongoing for some time, but now they are finished. The past continuous or past progressive includes was or were. That's the be verb in the past tense. The verb with ing. Was or were, verb and ing. She was cooking all morning. Cooking is not a fast activity, right? It goes on for some time. But now it's finished. She was cooking all morning. To form the negative, we add not to the sentence. She was not sleeping when he came home. Sleeping is that continuous action, but she was not sleeping. To ask the question, we'll use was or were at the beginning, followed by the subject, verb, and ing. Was she sleeping when he came home?
Yes.
Do you have any questions about how to make the past continuous or past progressive? Any questions?
When we use the past continuous.
When we'll use it? Yeah, good question. We'll talk about that next.
Okay.
Hong, do you have a question or are you talking to someone else?
Sorry. Yeah. Okay. I want to know the past continue. That means is to now it's already completely finished or not?
Yes, it is finished.
It's already finished. Okay.
Already finished. Yeah. Good question. All right. Let's talk about when to use the past progressive or past continuous. All right. Can I have a volunteer to read the first example?
To describe parallel actions, while I was washing the dishes, I heard a loud noise.
Very good. Thank you, Lamina. Parallel means two things happening at the same time. So we use the past progressive here. While I was washing the dishes, I heard a loud noise. So we have two verbs here, but we use the past progressive to identify one of them, and we'll talk more about that later. I have another volunteer for the second one.
To describe what someone was doing at a particular point in time.
Very
I was
good.
working in the garden all day yesterday.
Perfect. Was working describes that ongoing action at a specific time all day yesterday. Okay. The third one, who would like to read it?
To express interpreted action in the past. Example, I was driving to work when I crashed my car.
Very good. This is an interrupted action. Interrupted. I was driving to work when I crashed my car. So was driving is a continuous action and something else happened at that time to interrupt driving. I was driving when I crashed my car. Crashed, the car stops driving in that way. We're going to talk about some sentences using while and when in the simple past and past progressive. We'll talk about that in just a minute. And the last one here, who would like to read?
To describe repetition and irritation. He was always complaining in class.
Very good. To describe repetition means to repeat again, again, again. This is that habit or continuous action. And irritation. Irritation is like when something bothers you, when you are bothered by something. He was complaining in class, and always shows that repeated action. He was always complaining. Irritation, because complaining is not a good thing. So the simple answer to that question, when do we use the simple past tense, or when do we use the past progressive tense? If this is time and here is now, it's something that happens over, where did my tool go? Over a period of time in the past. It was a continuous action, but it is finished. To describe what someone was doing at a particular point. Here's today, here's yesterday. I was working in the garden yesterday. If we have parallel actions, it means two things are happening at the same time. While I was washing the dishes, I heard a loud noise. Or something interrupted. I was driving to work when I got in a car accident. I crashed my car. I was driving, I crashed my car. That interrupted action. Okay. Any questions about these sentences or how to use the past progressive? Okay. All right. Let's chat really briefly about spelling and the verbs with ing. These are going to follow the same rules as we talked about before. Most of the time we can add ing. If the verb ends with the letter E, we need to be more careful. A verb ending with consonant E will drop the E. Dance, dancing. Come, coming.
Teacher, and what about when we will use irregular verbs?
A regular verb.
Yes.
So these spelling rules are for all verbs. Regular or irregular doesn't matter.
But irregular verbs will stay in the same the base form when
In
we
the
will use
progressive,
in the progressive.
in the progressive, all verbs will add ing.
Oh.
When the word ends in one vowel followed by a consonant, we're going to double the consonant and add ing. Sit and sitting. There are a few exceptions. The letters W, X, and Y do not double that consonant. Vowels with, or verbs with two vowels and a consonant will just add ing. Okay.
Okay.
Let's practice a little bit together. There are some sentences here. You've seen this kind of a chart before on our other verb tenses that we've practiced. We have some sentences with affirmative and some with negative, some yes, no questions and information questions. So there's a verb here. We're going to use the past progressive using be, was or were, and the verb with ing. So I'd like you to finish this on your own paper. You can write the whole sentence or just the verb to finish. And don't tell me your answers. We'll take a few minutes to practice writing, and then we'll check these answers together. And give me a thumbs up when you're ready to go. I think you're probably ready to go.
Yeah, ready.
Okay.
I was doing my homework. I wasn't doing homework.
Oh,
Uh,
1 second, Lilia. Let me grab my annotation tool and I'll let you answer these 3 sentences in the affirmative. Lilia, would you like to read those 3?
okay. I was doing my homework.
Good.
They were going to Kroger.
Perfect.
The dog was running fast.
Okay. Remember with run, we want to double the N and add ing. All right. Who would like to read their sentences in the negative?
I wasn't doing my homework. They weren't going to Kroger. The
Good.
dog wasn't running. Yes.
Perfect. Great job. I saw Walla. Would you like to do the yes, no questions?
Yes. Was I doing my homework?
Good.
Were they going to Kroger?
Okay.
Was the dog running fast?
Perfect. All right, good job. And one more for the information questions.
Why was I doing my homework?
Good question.
Were they going to Kroger?
How were they going? Yep.
Why was the dog running fast?
Why was the dog running? Perfect. All right. Any questions about these sentences or questions?
It was easy. I hope it will be for the rest.
It's always easy when you just look at a few examples, right? And then I'm going to show you something that might totally change your mind about how easy it is. Let's go back to this other slide and we'll talk about using the simple past and the past progressive. Why do we use one but not the other? And there's a couple of reasons why and a couple of examples here. So I'm going to read and share some examples for you. We'll talk about them as we go. We use the past progressive for an action that has already happened in the past. It is completed. The students were studying English grammar at 10:15 yesterday morning. It means they were studying before 10:15 and at 10:15 and maybe even after 10:15. This is that continuous action that is finished, but it was yesterday, so it is finished. We use the past progressive for an action that has happened when it interrupted another action. She was working when Jim called. While Bob was sleeping, the telephone rang. So here's this continuous action. She was working, Bob was sleeping, and that action is stopped by something else. In this sentence, or these two sentences here, we have the past progressive verb and a simple past verb. Because that action that interrupted, it's also an action, it's also in the past, and it was a completed action. We're going to talk more about those examples in just a minute. For the simple past, we use it when an action began and ended at a particular time in the past. I called my mother last Sunday. She arrived at 9:30. They went to Mexico in June. These are all started and ended in the past. They're all completed actions. They don't require a long time to complete. We also use the simple past to show one action right after another action. When I opened the door, I saw my sister. First, I opened the door. Second, I saw my sister. 2 verbs in the simple past. Any questions about these sentences or using the past progressive and simple past?
The first one, the students were studying. Why we also can use the students studied, because I had 10-15 yesterday.
Yeah, if we change this to the simple past, it means that that action happened and it finished. Using the past progressive, we know that it was an ongoing situation. So we have more information about the situation. If I give, if that one sentence with more sentences, it might be helpful to know that it was a progressive action. It's more about the situation around the verb that helps us decide, do we choose the simple past or the past progressive?
That's the verb decide. That's just continue or, okay.
It has to do with the situation, yeah.
But Vanessa, it's when you give a presence time like 10-15, it will be confused for us. So for me, if we say students were studying English grammar between 10-15 and 12, something like that, it will be progressive for me.
Yeah.
At 10-15, it's, I don't.
Right. I understand, right? Because 10-15, this is just one point. If we're talking about,
that's I also thinking about that. Maybe
yeah,
we
we're
use
just talking about the timeline. Yeah, if this line here is 10-15, but you know, and I know, when somebody is studying,
it's not a one time.
It's not just for 1 minute, right? It goes on for some time. You can't see that. But yeah, it goes on for some time. It just means that at that moment they were studying. It doesn't mean they started and stopped studying at that moment.
Like right.
We could do the same thing for sleeping, right? You're sleeping for many hours, but at 10:15 you were sleeping.
We can use it until.
That changes the meaning too much. That means that until 10:15, that at that point you stopped studying. They were studying until 10:15. They were studying and they stopped at 10:15.
Oh, that means
Lisette, do you have a question?
Yes, I'm confused. Progressive and continuous are the same?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
It's two names for the same thing.
Yes, too much rules and it make me confused.
I know. It's the same rules. Continuous and progressive have the same rules. It's just two names for the same thing.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, let's practice these continuous and past continuous or past progressive and simple past verbs. I'm going to share this link in the chat and hopefully it works again. And We're going to go into our breakout rooms and do a little bit of reading and speaking about these situations. I put the link in the chat, but I don't know if it will open for you. So please let me know if it opens.
It has opened.
Open.
Good. Okay. Great. All right. Here's what it looks like. So there's several pages here and you won't finish all of it in the time I'm going to give you. We'll take about 10 minutes for this. There's a short story that uses the verb in the simple past and the past progressive. So read the story together with your group. And then there are some questions to answer about the story. The questions use the simple past and the past continuous. How was he driving? Questions? I see some hands raised.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I gotta go.
Okay. Okay, thanks for letting me know. That's okay. We'll see you on Thursday.
Okay, bye.
And Lisette, how about you? No question?
No question.
Okay.
Easy.
All
Okay.
right. I'll put your hand down for you. Yeah, so take a couple of minutes to read the story and then answer the questions. There's two stories, one about a car accident and one about the speech. So you can decide which one you want to do with your group. There's questions for that one as well. The last page here will be for homework to think about these two different situations in your own life and answer some questions about what happened. But for right now, we'll do read the story and answer the questions with your group. Any questions before we open the breakout room?
Read two stories and request all poetry.
Yes, you don't have to read two stories. You can read one story if that's all you have time for.
Okay.
Okay. Have fun.
Can you see this picture? No one answering. Oops.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Let's read this sentence. First, go ahead. Does somebody want to read?
Okay, I can read a little bit.
Okay.
I gave a speech in front of my class yesterday. I was very nervous, and I was sweating a lot. Everyone was bored. Even my teacher was bored. She was yawning and watching the soccer game out of the window. Okay, someone continue.
Okay. I'm going to read. Some people were sleeping on their desks. One guy was even snoring. Other people were doing their homework. I was holding my notes in front of me. and my hands were shaking. I was talking really fast. Afterwards, everyone said it was very good. My teacher gave me a good mark, but she told me to speak more slowly next time. Okay.
Yeah, we see the question.
Number one, what did
Yes.
she do in class yesterday?
That's the first word. She gives us, she gave us speech in front of her class yesterday. His class. He. He gave
was speaking front of class. Is that right?
We can use the same word. He gave a speech in front of his class yesterday.
Front of my class. Okay. I was very nervous and I was sweating a lot. Everyone was bored. Even my teacher was bored. He was speaking front of class. Yeah, I think so.
I do think so. Okay.
What did she say?
She saw an accident.
Yeah.
Car accident.
She saw a car accident yesterday.
Yes.
What was she doing when it happened?
She was standing on the corner
waiting
for the green light.
And then number 3, what man is sport car? The sport car driving. How was the man in the sport car driving?
The man driving the sport car was driving very fast.
Very fast. And then, why was he driving so fast?
He wanted to get
through the light. And then, what did the driver of the sport car try to do when he saw the tongue move forward?
To the side, the driver of the sport car tried to stop. The driver of the sport car tried to stop. Tried in simple past. What past?
Who was injured here?
The driver of the sport
car.
Was injured.
What did the man in the tongue tell after the accident? After the accident,
he called the ambulance.
He called the ambulance. What did the paramedic do? The paramedic put injured man on the stretcher and drove him to the hospital. This is another my speech reading. I gave a speak in front of my class yesterday. I was very nervous and I was sweating a lot. Everyone was bored. Even my teacher was bored. She was yawning and watching the soccer game out of the window. Some people were sleeping on their deck. One guy was evening snoring. And your turn, other people.
Other, other people were doing their homework. I was holding my notes in front of me and my hands were shaking. I was talking really fast. Afterwards, everyone said it was very good. My teacher gave me a good mark, but she told me to speak more slowly next time.
Oh, okay. My
Was watching outside, I think. Yes. Teacher was yawning and watching the soccer game out the window, out of the window, out the window.
Welcome back. We'll give everyone a few seconds to join us and then we will continue on. Okay, welcome back everyone. I think we're all here.
Not enough time, sorry.
What did everyone say about his speech? Everyone told him that speech was good. Is it?
Yep,
Yes.
that's good. Go on.
Everyone said it was good.
Yeah.
What advice did his teacher give him?
All right, Kovan, let's go ahead and come back into the main room. We are going to talk about using the simple past and the past progressive in the same sentence. So those stories that you looked at, we saw telling the story using the simple past and the past progressive. And we can see how some actions continue for some time and some actions are completed in a much shorter amount of time. There are a couple of situations where we would even use both the simple past and the past progressive together in the same sentence. And that is we saw a couple of examples so far. Let's look at talk about how this works now. Here, she was working when Jim called. While Bob was sleeping last night, the telephone rang. In these sentences, we see she was working, Jim called. And we see this special word here, when. Bob was sleeping, the telephone rang. And we see this word here, while. We use while and when in this part of the sentence called a time clause that gives us more information about when something happened in the past. Sometimes we'll use the expression like 10:15 or yesterday morning to give us information about when something happened. But sometimes we'll use another event to identify when something happened in relation to another action. Let's look at a few examples of how we can use while in the time clause. These two sentences here in purple have the same meaning. While he was driving, a woman crossed the street. A woman crossed the street while he was driving. We use while to show that continuous action. This part of the sentence here, while he was driving, is called a time clause. A time clause. Because it gives us information about time.
During.
In the time clause, our verb is going to be in the past progressive. In this sentence, the time clause shows that continuous action that is interrupted by something else. A woman crossed the street is in the simple past form. These two sentences here have the same meaning. While he was driving is the time clause. It can come at the beginning of the sentence or at the end of the sentence with no change in the meaning. But the time clause is not a sentence. A woman crossed the street is a good sentence. We have a subject, verb, and object. While he was driving is not a complete sentence. It's a clause, it's part of a sentence.
Please repeat it again.
Repeat what?
Same, what is the difference between here while in first sentence and second sentence? Using at a different place.
Nope, the meaning is the same. These sentences both show me that while he was walking, a woman crossed the street.
Lisa, in first line, we have used a comma. Before the comma, is it a full line? Is it a clause or not a clause?
So the part of the sentence that uses while is the clause, and the clause is not a sentence. When the clause comes at the beginning of the sentence, we do use the comma. When the time clause is at the end of the sentence, there is no comma because while shows us that it is the time clause. All right, I'm going to show you another type of time clause that uses the word when. These two sentences in purple again have the same meaning. Jenny was working at the office when Tony called. When Tony called, Jenny was working at the office.
Vanessa?
Yes.
We can use during instead of when or while. We can use during.
No, you cannot change one word for the other. They have a similar meaning, but they're not interchangeable.
Okay.
So this was driving gives us that time period, right? That ongoing action. And so we think of that situation, we can use the word during, but we don't use during with the verb. The during is going to come through a noun. During the day, he was driving. During class, she was sleeping.
Okay.
So during shows us that period of time, but not because of the action.
Okay.
I think during is a preposition, right?
It is a preposition, and so is when and
Okay.
while. All right. So when Tony called, Jenny was working at the office. These sentences express the same kind of situation that we saw before. So we can see Jenny was working, Tony called. When Tony called, Jenny was working. In this case, we use when with the simple form of the verb, the simple past with the when time clause. And we see the past progressive in the main clause of the sentence.
Lisa, when and while is not clear. Can you make it more clear?
Okay. We use while in the sentence with the time clause with the progressive verb, while he was driving. And we use when in the simple past, when Tony called. Using when and while allow us to talk about two events, both from the past, so we know more information about the time of these two events. These two things are connected to each other. One of them is continuous, and one of them is either interrupts or happens at the same time. So let's look at this sentence here. When Tony called, Jenny was working at the office. We can change the sentence a little bit and have the same meaning. Tony called while Jenny was working at the office. This sentence uses the same information and the same verbs, but here we've moved our time clause, our words with when and while. We see while with the present or past progressive, and when in the simple past. These sentences have the same meaning. We can change the order, or we can use when or while, so we can put the focus on a different part of the sentence.
Thank you, I got it.
Okay. The time clause with when uses the simple past. The time clause with while uses the present, or not present, but past progressive. This allows us to talk about two actions, both in the past, and how are those actions connected to each other? How are they related in time to each other? Let's look at some more examples and we'll practice identifying situations when we might talk about two things happening both in the past. There's a lot of sentences here, so we're going to read them slowly. We'll do a couple together, and I'll let you do a couple of them on your own too. All right, so let's look at this first one together. Tony was sleeping when?
While Tony was sleeping.
What?
It will start from while. The doorbell rang while Tony was sleeping.
Okay, so this word ends with when. We're looking for the verb in the simple past, right? Tony was sleeping when the doorbell rang. Okay. Simple past. Maybe this one, the telephone rang. Simple past. Linda was walking to the store when?
It's the simple past. That's good.
Actually, all of these are simple past. I just noticed that.
When she tripped and fell, I think.
Oh no, when she tripped and fell. Okay. Linda was walking to the store. Here's Linda walking to the store and she tripped and fell.
Yeah.
Poor thing. About number 3. Linda was waiting for the bus when?
It started to rain and she got wet.
Good. She was waiting for the bus and it started to rain. Actually, you might be waiting for the bus for a long time and it starts to rain. Okay. Number 4. Linda was standing in the rain when?
The bus finally came.
Good. The bus finally came. All right. Number 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Go ahead and read the sentences and find the best answer, and then we'll check them together.
Tony was driving to work when he had an accident.
Okay, good. All right, the rest of them answer on your own paper, and then we'll check together.
Vanessa, can I say that if the first part of sentence is in simple past, then use while for past continuous action. If a sentence is starting from past continuous, use when with simple past tense. Is it okay?
Kind of. So in this part of the sentence with when, we'll use the simple past. In the part of the sentence with while, we use the progressive.
Yes.
But that can change. The first of the sentence, the end of the sentence, that part we can move around. But we just have to match when, simple, while, progressive.
Like in first example, Tony was sleeping. If I have to say other way, the doorbell rang while Tony was sleeping. Is it okay?
Yes, because
That is,
while Tony was sleeping is that part of the sentence.
Thank you, I got it.
Okay. It's really hard to explain this on a computer. I think it's so much easier on the whiteboard. I can write and show things so much easier. Zoom is not my favorite, but I'm happy to be here with you all. All right.
Good question.
Yes. Any questions about these sentences?
We talk this a lot. That's just as one two word. If see well, follow the progress. If you see when, follow the norm, just the past, right?
Exactly, that's it. Part of this using when and while in these time clauses, I think the first thing is to understand what Hong just said, when to use progressive and when to use the simple past. And now that you know this rule, you'll begin to see it everywhere. You might even hear it in some places, beginning to recognize it and beginning to practice on the homework, on your journal practice, just practicing on paper. And then the next step is to recognize it on a test and to use it in your own speaking practice or conversation. Okay. There's so much we didn't get to practice with today because we had a lot of content to get through, but I feel okay about it. I think we did a lot today. There's a pretty quick review of simple past and past progressive. There's plenty of homework on the class website for you, and all of the answers are there too. If you have any questions, please email me. That's my job, is to answer your questions, so it's not a problem at all. Thank you for all of your questions and your attention in our class today. Thursday will be our final class for session 2, and next week we'll have a break week, and we'll hopefully get a little meeting together. So I'll send you an email with more information about our meeting next week, and the app that I showed you today. We'll talk more about that on Thursday too.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions or comments before we go? All right.
Excuse me, Vanessa, my Burlington account, it's not active, so
I'll fix it for you.
Thank you.
Remember that you have to use it for 2 hours every week, which is a lot.
Maybe it's why.
Yeah, if you don't use it, then they close your account. I can start it again, but 2 hours is a long time. And if you really like Burlington, then you should do it. But if you don't like it that much, there's probably other apps to use instead.
Me too. I don't like Burlington.
That's okay.
It's okay because sometimes it's, I